Hi, it's Anne from The Useless Crafter. So today we're making another big acrylic sign. It's actually 20 by 32. I know in my last video I said it was 20 by 30, but it's 20 by 32. And so I want to show you some tricks and tips. So the first thing that I did is the sign is it's for graduation. My daughter is graduating from preschool. So I'm making this big sign that says, "And so the adventure begins," and then her school at the bottom. So it is a big sign. So what I love about doing acrylic signs is I don't have to worry about how straight it is with this method. So what I do is I end up drawing out pieces of my design, not all, because for 20 by 32, you would need basically 6 sheets. If you were doing like an off the mat kind of thing, it'd be 6 sheets. But I only printed or drew three pieces. And how you pick them is you should choose the 3 squares, or it could just be 2 depending on your image. But mine, every line needs to be drawn a little bit. It doesn't need to be the whole word. Like adventure doesn't need to be written out, but at least a little part of it so that you can line up a big piece and then the rest will fall into place. So, and I do have a video that shows how to do this in Design Space. It's not hard, just a little tricky. But once you do it, you're good. And I'm sorry, my drink is like totally in the way. Okay. So the line on the outside is the actual border of the acrylic sign, which I love because now I don't even need to try to line this up. I just line up to the outside of my sign. Now, I did end up writing out the whole word adventure only because this part says, "and so this part captures the B that goes with begins. And then this part right here is the end of begins, the bottom of the begins, I should say. And then the bottom has a part of the school's name. Now, where it is in the middle, we do need to cut that out so that it lines up perfectly. So I do have my little paper cutter on the side, and I'm going to show you really quickly what I mean. So do you see this line right here? There's no acrylic border right here, so I am going to cut that off, okay? So just stick it in, and it doesn't have to be perfect because when you line up the rest of it, you'll see that it's okay. Okay, so I cut that off, right? And I'm also gonna need to cut off the top of begins. Oh, as well as this. Let me go back here. I need to cut off the bottom of this. And trust me, like there's nothing that can make a sign go wrong more easily than something being crooked, right? And with a sign so big, I mean, you're transferring so much of the image that this makes me feel so much better. It's so much easier. As soon as I can cut this off, give me just 1 second. And then very similar to off the mat, we're going to tape these pieces together. So it's going to be 3 pieces all ready to go. All right. I'll move this out of the way. All right. And what's nice about this too is you have a couple different ways to line it up. You have the line of the acrylic sign on top, so you can make sure that that's all good. And then you have your T itself to line up. So I like the way that looks. I'm just gonna tape it down. And don't mind me, I bought, there's some things that you shouldn't buy at Dollar Tree. Tape is one of them. It's like a battle every time I go to tapes, try to use a piece of tape. Okay. So I'm just lining this up, and it doesn't look that amazing. So I feel like, what am I doing wrong here? It could be the way I cut it. I think that looks good. Okay. And so now you have this. And so I'm going to place this under. I'm going to place the acrylic sign over it. You know what? I don't love this. I'm going to try to reposition it a little bit better. We'll see. Okay, so here's the acrylic sign. And I did not rip it off yet. And I'm going to do in a separate video the ribbon. So I have this more, I would say it's definitely not center aligned with the writing. I have it more, I would say, right, because I'm going to have a ribbon coming down the left-hand side. And I probably should have done this before. But I don't really like to prep too much because I feel like that's when where you run into some mistakes that you make, and then I didn't record it. So anyway, I'm going to also take off this side so that we can paint it. So I've been doing quite a few of these signs. I did a wedding one this size, and I loved it. I mean, it's not even for my wedding, but I love the white paint. I love Cricut metallic vinyl. So for the wedding sign, I did a gold one. For this one, because they are preschoolers, I did a light blue. I'm doing this blue because I think it's, you know, more kid appropriate, and then I'm still gonna do it with white paint. I think it looks really, really good that way. Okay, so I'm gonna flip this over. Okay, and I'm going to line up my edge of the acrylic. It's so staticky. Okay. I'm gonna lay that more flat. And I'm gonna line this up. Okay, here we go. Okay, it looks pretty lined up. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna read this, and you can, so metallic vinyl, it's beautiful, but if this didn't cut well, you would want it to basically bang your head against the wall, because when it doesn't cut well, it just won't even pull up. So what I do is I have the maker, and I have pretty sharp blades because I replace them fairly often because I'm doing a lot of projects. I do a project, I try to do a project on a daily basis and then plus orders. And yet I cut this on metallic vinyl and I cut it twice. So if you've never cut something twice, how you do it is when it's done, instead of hitting the arrow key for the mat to come out, you just hit the C again and it cuts exactly where it cut the first time. So it's a double cut, and you can see I didn't even need any tools. I did it with my fingers. So here's the begins. And you can see it comes up so beautifully. And let me tell you, it doesn't always. So I would, if you've never used this material, please, I never follow this. I very rarely do a test cut because, you know, it just takes a long time, right? And so I've thrown away a lot of vinyl because of that, because I don't do a test cut. You can't run your Cricut knife along to make it better. So, and you ruin the material. So like you start stretching the material, you can see that the cut's not straight. It really does distract from your overall project. So I don't recommend it. Okay. All right, so let me show you how that looks. I forgot to get out the transfer tape. Okay, so I have big pieces here. Do not use the strong one, the purple one. This is Cricut transfer tape. Don't use the purple one unless you're actually using glitter, which I have used glitter vinyl for this type of sign before. It's really, really nice. So, you know, definitely do that if you like that. Okay, so I put the transfer tape on, and yeah, I put away all my tools today. Let me get out my little thing. Okay, so you want to use this because you want to get your vinyl onto the transfer tape, okay? And when I'm pulling this, you want to kind of pull it on itself. You want to bend the paper that it's on all the way back on itself. And that way you're not really competing with the transfer tape. You want it to stay down on the transfer tape. But like this doesn't want to come down. So you just want to gently push it down. I did use a very thin, wispy font. I think it's Descianti on Font Bundles. So I did pay for this one, but I've used it so much. It's so pretty. All right. So here it is. So you can see my thing. So now I'm just gonna line it up to the drawn image and put it down. So, I mean, once you put it down, you're kind of stuck. So just, you know, kind of like really get a good feel for where it should go. Okay. And then once you put it down, you want to smooth it out as you lay it down so that you don't get any bubbles. So you're holding the transfer paper kind of taut, and then you're pushing down with your other hand. So here we go. Whoa. And you know what? It came up. So you just want to be really careful when you're pulling off the transfer tape that you're not ripping it up, because with these thin fonts, you're going to actually rip it apart. So thankfully I didn't, because that's just so emotionally painful when you have to recut It just takes so long, right? But I'm hoping, so far I haven't had any issues with these. Okay. Looks good. All right, so let's do begins. And I'm using the same one, so you can just reuse it. And as you saw, I mean, this was scraps from another time, from my last big sign. So you can reuse until it just doesn't work anymore. Begins, and you can see like it's really delicate, like that little loop on the B and in the G. These are, I mean, it's a beautiful it's a beautiful font. Cricut cut it beautifully. All right, so let's line this up. And you can see I'm holding this really tight. You probably can't see my muscles pulling it because there are no muscles, but I'm pulling it really tight and I'm kind of just pushing it down so that I'm avoiding any bubbles. And then we have really just 2 words. Well, no, we actually have a few words, but we have 2 lines left. So this is adventure, and it's just so pretty. And so you can see, I mean, this material rips very easily because it didn't pull off all continuously. So just really be careful when you're using that transfer tape. You might just, you know, especially in those thin areas, like with that B earlier or the D, if you pulled it up too quickly and it went with you, it will rip off that letter. And then of course you would have to recut the whole thing, right? How painful is that? But okay, we're almost done here. Adventure, pretty, right? Okay, so let's do that, and then let me get this one out. This is the school name. I mean, look how easy that weeds. Oh my gosh. I use this same material to do jewelry, like a trinket dish. And unfortunately, I don't know if it was my blade or whatever. Oh my gosh, it was so painful. Just a little bit we need to weed out. And when you're doing these signs, I would recommend at least 2 fonts, 2 different fonts. It just looks better like if you're gonna do like a frilly, delicate, whimsical kind of thing, you want like a print font, like a boring standard one. But you know, everything has its place in life, right? Even your boring fonts. All right, we're almost done. These signs are really, really easy to do. As you can see, I really didn't prep very much before we got started. So, all right, here's that. So this is gonna be kind of long. I'm going to, and you can kind of add, so you can see I had 2 pieces of transfer tape. I'm just adding to it, and I'm still missing 1 piece here. Oops. Okay. And because this is so big, this is easier to weed and to pull off, as you can see. There's nothing delicate about this big old word adventure. So I'm just gonna line this up as best as I can for the E and the R, and then I'm gonna slowly put it down. While I keep the rest of this up. So nothing's getting laid down until I'm ready to get to it, okay? So hold this side taut, and then just slowly make your way around all the letters. And this one, I mean, it is very easy to do. I love it. Okay, so let's lift this up and see what we have. Oops. Down for now. It's such a pretty blue, I love it. Okay, so now with this piece, this is a lot shorter in length, in height. So I'm going to, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my transfer tape in half and then put it down. And I do this because I don't like having extra sticky stuff hanging around and like accidentally landing on your acrylic before you're ready to use it. So. And you can see we're touching this a lot and it's still usable. So you can reuse this literally until you feel like it's just not sticking and lifting anymore. Okay, so I've got it all on here. Now originally my design was gonna have the school name and then the year 2019 and 2020 underneath. But then that really limits their use of the sign. So instead, I'm gonna have a ribbon on the left-hand side, and I will iron onto the ribbon that says class of, and then just 2020. So this is super long. So just make sure when you're lining this up, lift this side up. So I'm lining up the word Academy. Looks pretty good. Hold on. You know what? I didn't like that at all. So I felt like it was kind of slightly going up. So I think I like this more. Okay, here we go. All right. I did it. I ripped off the Y. Exactly what I told you not to do. Okay. I put the Y back, but I have a feeling I'm going to be recutting that Y. And I'll show you what it looks like in a second. But thankfully, it's one of these pieces where I can just do the one letter over and it's not a big deal. But I'm gonna leave it on there because it's gonna be easy to scrape off later. So we'll scrape it off, re-put the Y down, be a little bit more careful. You know what? I didn't even pull it that hard that time, right? I feel like I've made worse mistakes up there and it didn't rip, so it needed to happen though. All right. Okay, so it's all done. All right, so let me show you what it looks like. So pretty, right? Okay, so we can just put this down. I'll take a picture of it for my Instagram, so if you follow, you can see more up close what it looks like. Now I love my McDonald's iced tea. But I love these little trays because I'm gonna put the acrylic sign down on it and paint the back side. This is just white acrylic paint. So I'm actually gonna just pour it on here. If I can open it. I opened it yesterday. Oh, there. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna go. This is a big sign, so now what I do like is I don't like painting all the way to the edge, which is lovely because then you can actually hold it without getting paint all over. But I think it looks really nice like that. And you just want to make sure that you get enough paint so all your letters have a background of white so you can actually see it. And as you can see, I'm not really I'm trying to match like evenly around the edges. But other than that, I'm kind of just painting away, right? And then we'll flip it around and see what it looks like. I feel like this needs to go up a little bit more. Okay. Let's see what this looks like. I feel like it needs, hold on. Let me look at this from this side. Definitely need more paint up here, and so the adventure begins. Oh, and a little bit at the bottom. But other than that, I think the sides look great. So let's do that. And I think I wanted to do a little bit more of the bottom. I feel like this corner over here, bottom, needs a little bit more, right? Other than that, it looks pretty even to me. And maybe the top corner on this side a little bit more. So let's just do that. There, that looks more even, right? All right, so that's pretty much, let me double check though. Oh, and let me bring it closer so that you can see the Y. Can you see where the Y got all messed up? All right, so let me show you what else is going on there. It's this beautiful blue ribbon, and I kind of want to make a cheer bow-ish with two long ribbons coming down to put the class of 2020. But see, I think this matches really well with that color. All right, thanks for joining. I hope this was helpful. I can't wait to see your signs. I mean, this was, I see them on Etsy. I mean, you know, it takes a while to design it and do all that stuff and to ship it out. But this sign is running about $140 on Etsy. You could probably do it for maybe about $50 some, I think is what this is gonna cost me. So anyway, definitely if you're doing a wedding or a party and you can do it yourself, you should do it. And plus, your effort went into it. You're like, it feels good to make stuff for you. All right, let me know. And if you wanna see anything else, just comment and I will take a look. All right, bye guys.